Hey there, English 10 students. So we are getting ready to dive into the beginning pieces of To Kill a Mockingbird. At this point, you should have already read up through chapter 4, maybe even beyond if you have felt a little motivated or you've had some extra time on your hands. And I hope you are enjoying the book. And of course, what is coming up is going to provide you with an opportunity to really understand the characters, the choices that Harper Lee, our author, is making. It's all coming at us in some very exciting ways. So let's dive in to our first assignment with To Kill a Mockingbird. So you can see here on your screen that this is right underneath our To Kill a Mockingbird topic. Please keep in mind you have plenty of topics along the left side of the screen. Your main focus for the next couple of weeks will be To Kill a Mockingbird. But if there's ever anything else, I will always warn you as to what those other topics are. We will click on our chapters 2 through 3, and you will then notice that you have what looks like a comic book, and that's because that's exactly what it is, as well as instructions as to what it is that you are supposed to do. So we will open up those instructions and we will begin to take a look at what we are tackling in this assignment. So as you can see, we have different steps within this assignment. So let's just take a quick scan here. We have step 1, 2, 3, 4 steps altogether. Great. Okay. And I want you to notice that you are applying them to chapters 2 through 3 only in To Kill a Mockingbird. So keep that in mind. Now, I'd also like you to notice that I give credit at the top of this page. Credit is always very important because this, of course, is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, but this is coming from the graphic novel, which was adapted and illustrated by Fred Fordham. So I always want to give credit where credit is due. These people have worked hard to create their product. So you want to read every page of the graphic novel excerpt as step 1. So that means I would go back to the graphic novel excerpt and I would see that your teacher has numbered these pages for you. They didn't come out on my copy, so I went through and numbered them. So we are beginning with page 25 in the graphic novel or comic book, and you can go through and read each of these squares, boxes, rectangles, all the way through to the very end of chapter 3 in the graphic novel, which takes us to page 40. Once you do that, you are then in step 2 going to understand which are speech bubbles, which are narrator boxes, okay? And I did take the time to mark them with an asterisk. So when I go back to to the graphic novel, you are scrolling down and you're going to see so far nothing has been eliminated, removed. On page 26, we have our first item that has been eliminated. We have a narrator rectangle, we have a speech bubble, and then we have 2 speech bubbles with asterisks that have been left blank for a very specific reason. So now we are going to see why they have been left blank. As you can see a moment ago, I had a little bit of technical difficulty, so I do apologize for that. I have a special note here for you, and now you move on to step 3. You are going to use your book and you are going to fill in the speech bubbles and narrator boxes as best as you can. So that being said, I want you to notice that with the speech bubbles, I do give you areas that you should examine. I'm not going to read those to you right now. You want to take the time on the assignment sheet to read these directions to yourself so that you make sure you understand them versus what's inside a narrator box. Please notice that I did use different symbols here to assist you in understanding. Again, a speech bubble is going to look exactly like that. You can see there's kind of like a little stick, little bubble stick that sticks out, and then this is in a circle. So clearly, whoever is speaking, it is attached to this character right here, this speech bubble, versus this speech bubble here is attached to this character. But the narrator boxes or rectangles or squares, those are clearly going to be attached to our narrator. And we have already discussed the idea that Scout, or rather Jean Louise Finch, is our narrator. So whenever we see these narrator boxes, we understand that these are thoughts that Scout is having, either as a child at the time that the story is occurring, or it is most likely thoughts that she's having as an adult who's going back and retelling this story. You scroll through and you do exactly what that step tells you, which essentially is to go into your book, into your novel of To Kill a Mockingbird. And at that time, you want to make sure that you find this section of the story, whatever it is that is happening here, which, looks like there's some sort of a bad fight. We have a bunch of onlookers. We have someone attacking someone here in the dirt. And then, of course, we have this narrator box that gives you an idea of where this happens in the book. You then find that scene between chapters 2 and 3, and whoever is speaking here, you figure out what is it that he might possibly be saying. Well, when you look back at step 3, you're going to see that you can use direct quotes, meaning you can go into the book and you can copy word for word exactly what the character is saying, or you can find the general area and write down what our character is saying, sort of as a summary, where you could go ahead and not necessarily copy it, but you could go ahead and at least give us an idea. Same with your narrator boxes. You can use a direct quote, but again, you do not have to go in. Let's see here. Let's scroll together until we find an empty narrator box. So on page, let's see, it's a little, oh, here we go. Good. On page 33 in the graphic novel, here is a narrator box. So it's obviously Scout's thoughts. Whatever is happening at this point, you can go into the book, find it, put it in that box, or you can go ahead and sort of summarize it to the best of your ability. That is not a problem. Moving on to step 4, you are going to notice these directions where I am asking you to reflect on this activity. So when you answer these questions, your answer is going to go right in the box, but I do want you to notice I am asking you to not use black font. That way I can really see exactly where you are writing your response. So I might decide that I am going to use red. Red is pretty easy to read. I click on it, I type in my response. Here is my answer. Okay. And then, of course, your instructor will be able to see that. If you want, you could even make your answer a bit larger. You could even change the font. You decide I want to make it look a little different so that it really sticks out. Whatever you choose to do is perfectly fine, as long as I can see your response inside the narrator, inside the step 4 boxes. That's what you want to keep in mind, okay? So I will go back and switch all this to the way it used to be, and then you'll be able to make those decisions. Now, if you are wondering, how is it that I am going to insert items in these blank, missing speech bubbles or narrator boxes, you will notice that this has been assigned to you using Kami. So you might have to do what I just did and open the Kami bar, or it might automatically open on your screen once you log in through your school account, because that is how it is being assigned to you, is through your school account. So I'm reading these boxes, this comic strip. I'm figuring out what's going on. I finally get to my very first speech bubble, and over here along the left side of the screen, I am going to have to insert some text. So I will click on my text box. I will then choose a color that will really stick out. And so I'm going to keep my colors the same, meaning whatever color I use in my document, I will use here in my comic book and vice versa. So I've decided I am going to stick with red. I'm going to stick with a size 12 font for now and just see how that works. And then I click here, and that allows me to automatically insert a text box. So then I might type something like, "Stop it, Scout, you're hurting Jim." Now, this is not what Jem says. So be very, very careful that you do not assume that that's really what's happening. I would then go ahead and I would downsize this so that I can fit it into my speech bubble so that it stands out even more. I can go ahead and highlight it, change it to a size 10 so that it fits a little bit better. And I might even decide to make it bold so that it sticks out even more. I can still, again, kind of manipulate this so that it's more in the white portion, of the speech bubble. So again, along the left side of your screen, it's your T for text box. You then go in and select your color. There's a whole bunch of colors from which to choose, whatever you feel is going to stand out the most. But I would recommend choosing a color in your comic book to match whatever color you're going to be typing in your Google document. And you'll do the same thing for each speech bubble that is blank, as well as once we skip ahead to the narrator box on page 33, it's the same thing. So I now need to insert another text box right here. And let's just say that Scout was thinking, I don't like broccoli. Okay, oops, how about if your teacher could spell broccoli? That would be a great idea. Now, clearly, that's not really what she's thinking here at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of expand this. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger because it's not a whole lot of words, and I want to make sure that my instructor can see what I did, made it larger, made it bold, and that's what I've decided belongs in that particular narrator box because that's what's happening with Scout at this point in the story. Clearly, it's not, but this is just my example. So right now, I'm going to delete that text box as well as the original one where I had been typing to help you out. I'm going to get rid of that, okay? And that's honestly all you have to worry about in the comic book is inserting those text boxes. When you are over here, you want to make sure that you are very supportive with your reasons so that we can have essentially a digital discussion about this book as well as a conversation in class. Furthermore, anytime we do more extensive activities, remember we're always collecting evidence, we're building towards our essay. So we are collecting evidence. You'll be able to use this on your future essay. You'll be able to use this on future assignments. And should we ever go to complete a CCQ like you did with A Man Called Ave, which is a comprehension check quiz, you'll be able to use these documents as well to assist you with that. So pay attention to the assignment as a whole. Any instructions that you see here, pay attention to due dates. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with this comic strip. Happy reading and happy creating.